Welcome back to Getting Started with Web Video. This is part 2, the basics, and more importantly, this is Mark Johnson.
And this is Dave Thackeray. And I think it's going to be a great section, this, because we're going to talk about the basics and especially about video cameras, right?
That's right, that's where it all begins, isn't it? Now, in part 1, we talked about the importance of web video. It's very important to understand that it's got to be part of your marketing strategy moving forward to add that personality to your brand. Where we need to start today, I think, is with the video camera itself. So tell us more. Where do we need to get started when it comes to the camera?
I think start with what you have got is the most important thing. Even if, it's just to practice or to get a feeling of whether you think it's going to be good for you or your business, your organization, whatever. Most people have MacBooks or laptops, PC laptops. I mean, you're sitting there with a Windows machine. I've got an Apple in front of me. This has got a camera built into it. And the newer models do have better cameras. This one's 2 or 3 years old, so it's not a widescreen camera. It takes okay video. Most people use it for things like Skype, and most people will probably have experience using
You've got the classic
Skype.
up nose shot there on the webcam.
Yeah, this is the thing. So if we switch this, we've actually got this connected into our system here. So this is now coming from the MacBook, and you can see that you can see up to the ceiling. You can see some of our studio lights. And it's not a great shot, and looking up people's noses is not the thing to do. So if you're going to use something like this, make sure that all I'm doing is just lifting it up, and you can then move it around and frame the picture and get a reasonable picture. Now, one of the problems is you actually have to hold it quite close, but just by elevating it and getting it to a good angle,
that makes all the difference.
You can get a reasonable shot, and one that isn't pointing up up your nose. So that's a great place to start.
It's the very first place to start.
It's also a good tool for rehearsing. You might not have been in front of a camera before. You might wonder how you're going to behave, and everything that you do needs to be rehearsed, and we'll probably touch on that in one of the other
I have to say, though, with the webcam, it is a bit of a deterrent because it does make you look a lot worse than if you had a standalone camera. There is that typical nature of that webcam, isn't it?
So the next stage then, if you don't want to use a built-in camera, you can use another webcam, but one that's on a lead with a USB connector. This is a camera from Logitech. This is the C910. Really just been superseded with the C920. Much better quality than the built-in cameras. But a couple of disadvantages. It has no zoom lens, and actually you probably want a zoom lens on it. But otherwise, it's pretty good. You do have to be fairly close to it. I have used this when I've been traveling for doing some call-ins to shows, people's video podcasts, etc. And literally the camera has to be 18 inches in front of you. And some people, again, find that a bit
That's a challenge as well, because it doesn't seem to have any form of connection that will let you sit it on a tripod or something.
But it has a very good sort of a flexible stand which is weighted, so it will sit on top of a monitor very easily, or you can lay it flat. So you're right, no tripod mount, but it's actually pretty good.
So we started with the integrated webcam, we've moved on to the external webcam. What happens next?
Well, what have you got? What have you got, Dave?
I've got a Panasonic G2. It's a digital SLR and it produces good results, but there are some pretty big disadvantages. Right. I've learned the hard way not to use autofocus when it comes to shooting video.
So this is a digital DSLR. It's actually a Canon 5D Mark II. Not a cheap camera at all, and probably somebody might have this if they're really into photography, because it has been for the last couple of years probably the camera to buy. But it does video, and this was the camera that really launched video onto DSLRs, and it's been used by Spielberg to produce clips from some of his movies. It's been used for House. The production of a whole episode of the show House was shot using these. And the reason they're using them, apart from the fact that they are good quality, is they're small. And also, as far as a studio is concerned, they're cheap, and we might think they're expensive, but they can put 4 or 5 of these somewhere, for less than the price of one of their studio cameras.
It sounds to me like it's a solution, but I think there probably are some drawbacks.
There are some drawbacks. You need a lot of work to get really good results with it. Yeah, they tend to be manual focus, manual exposure. if you're a keen photographer and you're used to using a DSLR and you've got one, use it. Don't buy this for your video productions for the web. There are, much cheaper alternatives. Now there are cheaper versions. There's the, is it 550 from Canon? There's entry levels from Nikon and other manufacturers that do, pretty good video. But it just makes it more difficult. It's another hassle that you have to deal with when really you need to be worrying, spending your time thinking about the production, not about is the camera in focus.
So we've gone through a few options now, but I've got the feeling that the right option for many people is about to come. And here it is.
Well, a camcorder. Most people, again, will have a camcorder, although a lot of people are now using their phones, etc. And getting video out of a phone is, is not always that easy or particularly good quality, though they are getting better. But most people will have a camcorder. This is a little Sony camcorder I've had for about 8 years. It produces some very good video. It's actually HD quality. It does a great job except for one thing. The microphones are sitting in the top here. So if you have this 6 feet away, the audio is not very good. It doesn't capture great audio. It also captures a lot of the audio that's the ambient noise that is around. And it has no microphone in jack. And probably the most important thing to get good audio, and audio is very important, is to get a camera that allows you to connect an external microphone to it. So what we use here is the Canon HF G10. This is more expensive and you don't have to go up to this type of camera. These are just over £1,000, but they produce fantastic images. The quality of the video is superb. We actually use them here in the studio. We've got 4 of them. These are the main cameras in the studio are these devices. Apart from the fact that it does great video, the fact that you can do manual if you want to, though I would suggest you just leave it on automatic. It has a zoom lens, and that's very important for framing your shot, because otherwise you're going to be moving the camera, etc. The most important thing is it has a little hole here where you can plug in a microphone.
It's got everything, and again it gets rid of the problem of the autofocus manual focus because it's specifically designed to shoot video. Absolutely.
So if you have something like this, start with that. You can start with a webcam just to get an idea of what you can create, but really you need a camcorder, I would suggest, that has a microphone in connector.
Great stuff. Then a great place to start when we move into audio then, Mark, because you're wearing in front of you a very exciting looking microphone.
So I'm wearing here what's known as a lapel or a lavalier microphone. And I've got another down here, and it is, it has a connector on which can go into a camera, onto a lead, and just a little, clip or tie clip, as people will know them, to clip onto a tie or onto your shirt. And it gets the microphone nearer to the person, tends to only take sound from around you, and as you move, it moves with you, whereas if you have a fixed microphone, of course, and you move, you're getting further away from the microphone.
Okay, like a shotgun microphone.
Yeah, so absolutely. Cue, shotgun microphone.
Perfect timing.
This is a microphone. You'll see a lot of people might, if they're serious into shooting home videos, they might have a microphone like this. Most people won't. But the advantage of a shotgun microphone is you can have it just out of shot, pointing at you, and you can get very good results. And when you see the news crews go out and somebody's holding up something with a big fluffy, what's known as a dead cat, believe it or not, over the microphone and pointing down, that is a shotgun microphone. And they're trying to, if you're in the news for something you've done and all these TV crews around you, they have all these microphones up above you, and that's a shotgun mic. Most people won't have one, so don't go out and buy one, just for this. But if you happen to have one, you can use that as well.
Let me just check. Professional though these look, they will both, the lavalier and the shotgun will both plug in directly into your camcorder.
You do have to check to make sure. Some of them might need a battery in them, so you have to look at that. The microphones we're using are professional microphones. I wouldn't encourage anybody to go out. I mean, these are probably the bottom end of the professional. These are from Rode, R-O-D, Rode lavaliers. They're about £160, £60 each, and you have to buy the connectors for them. But if you go onto Amazon and get a little lavalier microphone or lapel microphone for £30, £40, it will be so much better than the camera microphone that it's worth the investment. Now let's do a little bit of an experiment. I think we have got a camera up there, and what we can do is to switch to the built-in microphones. Right, so we're now on the built-in microphones, Dave. So no longer using these. We're using what? That's probably what, 7 feet away?
Well, a fair distance away, aren't we? So I imagine there's already a little bit of hist getting into that microphone itself.
The other thing they have is what's known as automatic gain control on most video cameras, and if it doesn't hear anything, it sort of turns everything up, and you hear the noise of the electronics. But also in this studio, we have an equipment rack sitting in the corner which has fans whirring, and it's much closer to that. It's a very sort of general microphone. It picks up audio anywhere, and I'm sure people will prefer it if we went back to our other mics. That should have been silent, and then we're now back with these microphones. So that's just an idea of the difference. So audio is so important. So if the only thing you do is to buy a microphone and a lead for it, etc., and if you might have a little audio mixer, people might say, "Oh no, getting too complicated." But actually, you can get for £50 or £60 a little audio mixer. And if you have somebody who can help you, you can put in 2 microphones, because obviously you can only plug 1 microphone into a camera. So if you're 2 people in the shot, you have to go into a little audio mixer.
You're making my head spin.
And then into a thing. But we'll touch on some of this
But
later.
when you do have 2 people in the shot, you've then got to start thinking more about the lighting, haven't you? And lighting is such an important part of the video situation.
And that's a good follow-on from the camera. The lighting is important, and it is the artistic bit to me. I think a lot of setting up the camera, getting the shot right, somewhat artistic, but most people can do it. But lighting can be a real challenge, and the real thing is practice, play around with it, see what works. I would suggest starting in a dark room or a darkened room. It doesn't have to be pitch black. And the reason for that is so that you can control the light. So you haven't got light streaming in from a window or being reflected from somewhere, because it actually makes a big difference. You might not think so, but it makes a big difference. So start with a darkened room. Start with 2 or 3 lights. We actually started off with these. These are little, sort of amateur photographer lights. They were, pretty cheap. I mean, I say pretty cheap. You can get, a couple of soft boxes. So that's the cover on the front there. It makes into a soft box, which sort of makes the light softer and gets away with some of the shadows for under £100. Or you can use an angle poise lights. If you've got a couple of angle poise lights, we started off using IKEA. I think they were £15 each. IKEA lights. We just put in a fairly large compact fluorescent bulb, all the same type of bulbs, and you play around with it, and you light from one side to the other. But that's enough of lighting, so we're going to cover that in another part of the show.
We've covered the hardware and the costs, and I think that roundabout seals that bit off. But there are an awful lot of free resources as well that will help us. We need some kind of software to talk to the files that we've created in our camcorders. Tell me about the Mac first, since you are the Mac guy. What would you use to put that video together once you've finished with the camcorder?
If you have a Mac that's been purchased in the last 2 or 3 years, you will have a program called iMovie. And iMovie is a great, easy to use, fairly intuitive product that allows you to take video clips and move them around and do simple edits. And that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about making a film that's going to be shown in your local cinema. We're just talking about something of decent quality with simple video editing. So you can use iMovie. The next step up from that on the Mac platform is probably Final Cut Pro 10 or Final Cut Pro X, depending how you say it. And that's available for a couple of £100 from the App Store from Apple. And that adds a lot of functions that are not in iMovie. But if you've got it, you've got iMovie, it's free, you don't have to buy it. I would start with that. How about for the PC?
We've got Windows Live Movie Maker for Windows 7, and that is a free download from Microsoft. lowdown.com, and that has worked and served me very well, Mark. I have to say, it's done everything that we've talked about today. You've got your introduction, your titles, you can throw them in there with the meat, the content that you create yourself. Finish off with the outro, as we like to call it, your call to action. We will be talking about that specifically later. And then moving up that ladder, moving into the world of Adobe Premiere Pro, which is a fabulous non-linear editor. Very complicated. I don't really understand it, but I understand.
That's a professional package.
Absolutely. I mean, it helps you to put the story together, the various chunks, and it's almost creating that fantastic production. But, you know, start simple, I would say, and work with Windows Live Movie Maker, because it really is a great and powerful tool. I use it in concert with the YouTube Creators Playbook.
A great resource.
Which is brilliant. It's a 91-page document, and it just tells you everything you need to know about how to put a video together that will garner thousands of views. And it's not something that we do for ourselves as a video. We do it for the benefit of our audiences. So the more people we can reach with the message, the better. So this is an absolutely essential resource. Go out there. It tells you how to create the video in the first place, how to analyze the success, and moving forward, how to create a strategy for your video marketing. So definitely worth picking up. Anything else that you've found?
A couple of things. If we're talking about you shoot your video, you might want to put a nice little introduction video on the front of it. You want to have some titles or credits at the end, or, you know, go to my website at whatever. You can do those in some of the presentation packages. You can do them in, you know, in Freelance or whatever is your presentation package of choice. But you can actually buy, you know, pre-created intros from some websites. There are a couple of places that you can go for that. One that, you know, I know that you have looked at is Fiverr, Fiverr.
That's because I'm a tightwad.
And it's, basically it's anything from $5
exactly.
is the way that works, and you can get some pretty good stuff, you know, at low price. Or there are other places. There's videohive.net, which we have used here. Some of the titles that introductory video clips we have bought as an Adobe After Effects template. And I don't want to get too technical here. So you do need to have somebody who knows Adobe After
Stick
Effects.
with Fiverr.com, folks.
And you know, and what it does, it gives you, you know, dummy text, and you just have to change your text. But you need the program, so, you know, that's really out of the scope of this. Or you can go to somewhere like elance.com, and Elance is a site where you say, I want people to bid on creating me a 20-second opening video for my show. Here is my brief. You know, it's about vegetables, and I want it to include, you know, a lettuce and a carrot. You know, whatever you write your brief, and people will bid on it from all around the world. And you give a price
Sure.
of, say, up to $300, and you'll probably get them ranging from, you know, $100 to $500. And you can look at them. Some of them have show reels to see what they've done, and you can pick it. And usually within a few days, you have a tailor-made introductory video for your show.
A lot of content there, which leads us on to part 3, which is all about structure and content for your video. I think we've covered a lot. My head is spinning now, so I think we better move on pretty fast.
I think it's time we had a break, but we'll hope to see everybody else for part 3.